It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
So our story continues with Jiren smirking across at Vegito, still tucked into his giant apparition version of himself, having just revealed he's the new god of destruction of Universe 11. Still in deadlock with Vegito's own giant MUI silhouette, Vegito is left understandably in a state of disbelief, mumbling, "Jiren, how could you? Why?" Because he wanted to be the one to finish you for good, God Killer. As suddenly behind Vegito and Jiren, a familiar looking backside appears replying to Vegito. And it is revealed to be none other than the former god of destruction Belmod, looking on menacingly with his hands relaxed on his hips as he continues, "Greetings, Vegito. I see you haven't changed one bit since murdering Beerus. Here to now slaughter even your friend Jiren? Haha, you truly are heartless, aren't you, Saiyan?" Huh? Belmod! Immediately causing Vegito to turn around in shock as he continues once his eyes meet with Belmod's. "So, you finally turn up, clown. How? How could a monster like you even convince Jiren to become one of you? The Jiren I knew was on the side of justice, not the side of pure evil." Evil? How dare you? Immediately causing the jovial god to change expression to a scowl as he responds, "Us evil? Ironic to come from one such as you, who has indiscriminately killed so many. Gods, angels, even innocent children. Save your breath, as Jiren has seen it all. My angel used her powers to give him the complete rundown. He knows exactly what you have done and what you truly are, demon. Your motives, your victims, and your abilities. And just like any sane person with a heart, he decided your death is the only true path of justice. The only true evil here is you." What? Jiren knows? Everything? And still? There's no way. Leaving Vegito stunned as he for the first time discovers that Jiren, even with knowing the injustices Vegito had faced, still decided to become one of the very people that without care annihilated his entire planet. With a forlorn and completely dejected look, the Saiyan begins looking to the ground in deep thought, starting to question even himself whether what he was doing is the right thing. If even Jiren, a being with the greatest of moral compasses, sees him as the enemy. Jiren! He knows what the gods did! The people they killed! My friends! My family! All for the sake of a battle that I didn't even want! And I'm still in the wrong? Did those gods not deserve the same fate? Jiren, why? What have I done? And as Vegito's self-doubt and questioning of his morality increases, in almost a direct correlation, the MUI aura that made up his giant version of himself begins to slowly dissipate to nothing, just like his motives. As the still now seemingly saddened Vegito descends to the ground, still wondering, What have I become? And soon, Vegito's aura completely vanishes, and he just falls slowly in mental defeat, landing on the ground with a thud, and noticeably still silent, not uttering a word. Could it be finally that now faced with having to kill even Jiren, he's realized his revenge story was in the wrong the entire time? But the battle-hardened Jiren, seeing this, is not impressed in the slightest, annoyed even, as he wonders, what is he doing? Son Goku, have you given up already? This is not a game. You will die by my hand if you do not put up a fight! But Vegito, regardless of Jiren's words, just maintains his silence, still battling with himself internally about what he should do now. Are you listening to me, Son Goku? But Jiren, who had dreamt of this moment to fight Goku again at his best for all these years, begins to get extremely angry at Vegito's peaceful stance, continuing, Fine, if you refuse to talk, then there will be no mercy. For the gods and angels before me you killed, I will put an end to you now! Leading to Jiren following through just as he said, as Jiren's giant apparition pulls back with extreme force, gritting its own teeth as if it too wanted Vegito gone. All the while, Vegito remains motionless on the ground like an ant, as if finally having accepted his punishment for his crimes and ready, waiting for his death sentence. And just like that, in most likely the most powerful punch we'd seen in the entire series, Jiren's giant fist rocks the very surface of the planet as a huge earth-shattering explosion is seen in its wake. And eventually, as the smoke and debris from the attack leaves, under Jiren's fist, we see the tragic sight of crimson, red blood seep from underneath his knuckles, indicating in this instance there was no escape for Jiren's target. And Jiren too, looking down and noticing this, then comments, So he really meant to quit. Pathetic, Son Goku. I expected so much more from you. And with Ultra Vegito finally defeated and the threat to all the gods of the multiverse now over, Jiren just looks down solemnly as his giant apparition lowers its arms too. Jiren, now forlorn, then says his final words to the Saiyan, letting out, Son Goku, after defeating you in battle here, I had hoped to hear your side to this story, to find out just what would drive you to do the unthinkable, to kill the righteous and pure gods that ruled over us for so long without disturbance. But your silence in the face of Belmod and surrender said it all. Inside, I think you too finally knew that your punishment was well deserved. Goodbye, fallen warrior. But as Jiren says his goodbye, in the distance something stirs. Something with a power level Jiren had never experienced before. What is this? And instantly, like a shooting star, a burning ball of energy traveling at inconceivable speeds strikes head-on at the god of destruction, engulfing his entire body. The impact so great that not just is Jiren left helpless to do anything about it, but the pain it inflicts even causes the hardened Pride Trooper to scream in agony as saliva gushes out. And at once, as we zoom out of the scene, we see the attack shoots Jiren right through his giant apparition towards the ground, as even the giant himself looks nothing short of stunned at what's happening, like it had been shot by a sniper. Immediately leading to a monstrous impact on the ground rivaling that of Jiren's earlier punch, causing rocks and particulate to fly everywhere. And as we look on with a bird's eye view at Jiren and whatever hit him, all we can see is a cloak of thick smoke, until eventually Jiren's face can be seen, but round his neck is shockingly a hand covered in a familiar set of rings. What? How? As Jiren then seemingly realizes exactly who is on top of him. And of course, it is none other than Ultra Vegito. Now finally in his final form that we have grown so used to seeing. As with one arm choking the God of Destruction and sitting on top of the completely disabled Jiren, he looks down and says, You know, you're surprisingly sentimental when you want to be. That little speech almost brought a tear to my eye, Jiren. But don't worry, I'm back. Hope you didn't miss me too much, warrior. But Jiren, seeing Vegito in the flesh and untouched, can't help but continue to look completely stunned. As he grumbles back, You, how? I hit you. I made perfect contact. I saw it with my own eyes. I felt the coldness of your blood with my own fists. This makes no sense. But Ultra Vegito, hearing this and not breaking any eye contact, is quick to just respond. Wow, Jiren, you really have lost it, haven't you? I guess becoming one of those weak gods yourself has brought you down to their pathetic level too. You're now even blinder than Sidra was. Ultra Vegito then turns his head and points his finger to where the fist lands and continues. You hit something, Jiren. I don't doubt that. But it wasn't me. I'm not sure what's wrong with your aim, but you better have a look that way. Are you sure you're not on my side? Huh? And so Jiren turns his head to where Vegito was pointing, and as we watch, we see the remnants of Jiren's apparition finally begin to fade, revealing what's underneath. But to our shock, on the ground, almost as flat as a pancake imprinted into the surface of the planet, is a brutally damaged Belmod, now crushed and contorted into an awkward shape. The god, who can barely keep one eye open, just mutters, Vegito, you damn... Immediately causing Jiren to freak out and yell at the sight of his beloved Belmod being inexplicably so tragically hurt by his own hand. He yells out, Lord Belmod! How? I would never! Leaving Vegito to sinisterly laugh at Jiren's horrified reaction as he explains, Didn't I tell you I was levels above you still, Jiren? Your Ultra Instinct is still nothing but a beginner's toy compared to mine. I'll admit, I enjoyed our little dance, but I hate to break it to you, I wasn't even trying. And now that you're one of those scum destroyers, I have no more use in humoring you. The second you launched your pathetically slow attack, I grabbed that Belmod from behind like the clown he is, and switched him with myself. So fast, neither of you could even tell what happened until it was too late. Impossible! No one can move that fast. Surely not. This reveal, of course, taking even Jiren by surprise, as he can't even fathom the kind of ability Vegito would need to pull that off, until finally he asks, How is it possible to have improved this much? Son Goku, is this the bow that led you to become a murderer? Did becoming power drunk really give you enough reason to kill the deities that deserved none of this? Answer me. What drove you to take the lives of innocents? God killer! What? But hearing this for the first time, Vegito instantly pulls back and lessens his grip on Jiren in surprise, thinking to himself, What is this fool saying? He truly talks like the gods have done nothing. But he does know, doesn't he? Looking down calmer, Ultra Vegito then responds, "Innocence? I know you're in pain, but how delirious do you need to be to call these monsters innocent after all they did? That angel did show you, right? You know what Belmont did. He's the murderer here, the destroyer of my entire home planet, my friends, my family, all gone in a blink of an eye. He led the gods, and all 11 of them were responsible, along with their spineless angels who agreed with them." Jiren, hearing this, now can't help but be confused. This is news to him and was never shown to him at all by Margarita. But he then remembers these are just words from Vegito, while Margarita showed him an impossibly detailed vision. In anger, Jiren then responds, "Nonsense! Save your lies, Son Goku. I have been more than just told the story of what you have done. I have experienced the bone-chilling sight of the gruesome things you've done in person. I saw how you even killed your own god of destruction in rebellion. How do you explain that, Son Goku?" What? In rebellion? Leaving Vegito puzzled as he tries to figure out how Jiren has got it so wrong, continuing in his mind, "Something isn't right. If he truly saw what had happened, he couldn't get details like this wrong. Don't tell me that damn witch Margarita actually lied to him to get him to fight me. Isn't there some sort of damn angel law against that? He's hardly going to believe me over a literal angel. Unfortunately, it might be too late for him now." And with his thoughts steadied, Vegito does what he has no choice to now, as he raises his left arm in the air, displaying to us all the energy absorption device that is ready to do only one thing. As expected, Son Goku, your silence will always say 1,000 words. Now go ahead, take my energy and finish the job this time. To which Vegito immediately obliges, bringing his hand slowly towards Jiren's face, just whispering, "Sorry, Jiren. I would have thought with you losing your own family and friends, you would have understood me. But I guess this is the only way." And just like that, Vegito places his palm on Jiren's forehead, as the Pride Trooper, and now God of Destruction, just closes his eyes, accepting his death at the hands of the one and only God Killer. This is... But suddenly, Jiren is instead flooded with visions of the true past 10 years that led up to this moment. From Goku and Vegeta initially being threatened by Beerus to fuse and battle, to their correct fusion this time via their angel-grade Potara to make a permanent Ultra Vegito, to then the tragic betrayal of the gods who went on to erase everything Goku and Vegeta ever loved, before ending in the horrific imprisonment of the duo for an entire decade of torture. It seems that Ultra Vegito 2 has now gained the angelic abilities to pass memories on. And as Vegito removes his hand finally from Jiren's forehead, for a moment there is a brief respite, as if Jiren himself still tries to process what he's just seen until suddenly... Vegito! Finally, for the first time, Jiren refers to Vegito by his real name, as now the truth of his story hits him, his motivations, and the evil and injustice of the very gods he had signed his life over to join. For a moment, Jiren, with half-closed eyes, looks sorrowfully at Vegito, beginning to feel a sense of empathy for his cause, before saying, "Enough. I've seen enough. Get off me." And Ultra Vegito, who doesn't even hesitate for a second, not suspecting Jiren of wanting any more violence, immediately gets up on his command, as Jiren looks at him from below, still in silence. And as Vegito stands tall, in a relaxed stance with his hands on his hips, Jiren, without fear, also slowly gets to his feet. Angling his head, Vegito then asks, "Sorry I scared you a little there, but I knew if I offered you a warrior's death, you'd let me grab you without issue. It was the only way I could show you what truly happened. I don't know what Margarita showed you, but I think it clearly left out some details. And now that you know the truth, tell me, Jiren, whose side are you on?" Jiren, who still continues to look down at the ground in self-deprecation, hasn't got an answer just yet, as he sighs and begins to think deeply until... "Give me one of those time rings, Vegito. Now." Suddenly then raising his right hand towards Vegito, gesturing for one of Vegito's 5 remaining time rings of all things, which of course takes the Saiyan by surprise. Now leaning his head forward in disbelief, Vegito questions, "What? One of my time rings? What for? You got some cojones asking for these. You probably got to see exactly what I had to go through even to get them." But Jiren, with an unwaveringly serious look, just responds, "I don't care. I know of those rings and their power all too well. I've seen it in both Margarita's and your version of events. But as it stands, neither of you are to be trusted. I will use those rings to travel to the past and confirm things for myself." And for a moment, Vegito takes in this plan of Jiren's, trying to calculate just what the risks of giving one of the very gods he seeks to kill a time ring are. Before, with a smile, he closes his eyes, beginning to remove a ring and says, "You're lucky I trust you, Jiren. After all, who could say no to that lovable little face of yours? Just don't try and run away. I'm pretty sure you know by now, I have a habit of hunting gods down, wherever they are." And with that said, Vegeta then tosses over the time ring he just removed, immediately being caught by the stone-cold-faced Jiren, who at this point still does not know who he must trust. Easily enough, Jiren then places on one of the time rings meant usually only for the Supreme Kais, as he looks at its glistening nature and comments, "So, with this, I will be able to move freely between the past and present. With this, I will finally find out the truth I have been seeking." And without a word more, and with perfect control, just as expected of a genius like Jiren, the god of destruction opens up a portal before him, before then walking without fear straight into it as Vegito yells, "Be careful out there! Come back soon!" And just like that, Jiren vanishes, leaving Vegito alone with his thoughts as he waits for the Pride Trooper's eventual return. About 30 minutes pass, and the heavily damaged Belmod has now regained some strength and begins getting up, grumbling however, "That damn Vegito! He'll pay once I heal up. That's if Jiren can't finish the job alone. Where even is he? That god killer's just been standing there alone for ages now." But just as Belmod arduously gets onto one knee, a portal in front of him opens, and the familiar, bald-headed figure comes straight out. As Belmont, now with a beaming smile, albeit now missing some teeth, yells out, "Jiren! Finally! There you are! Come give me a hand, and we'll finish this together! I think Toppo's around here somewhere too!" And Jiren, somewhat uncharacteristically, appears to be in just as much a positive mood as Belmont, as he smiles and walks over to his former god and good friend with his arm outreached, ready to help the clown up, leading to Belmont even commenting, "Haha, you seem like you're in a good mood. Haven't seen you like this in years." And Jiren, who agrees, still smiling, tries to explain his sudden mood change, referring to his time ring as he says, "Yes, well, Lord Belmont, this little device here is something special. Amazing even. With this alone, I was able to travel any point in time, in search of the truth." But suddenly, the cheerful explanation is interrupted by an even greater change in emotion, as Jiren's face begins to look coldly and full of rage down at Belmont, as veins pulsate throughout his forehead, and he continues, "And as luck would have it, I just used this time ring to head back to when I was a child, the exact moment where I witnessed my entire village slaughtered, my friends, family, and master. You remember that night, don't you? Not too long after that, you just coincidentally found me. Right, Belmont?" And for some reason, as Belmont hears this, his own face begins to change to one of nervousness and fear, as if he has something to hide. As he trembles, he tries his best to reply, "Oh, is that so, Jiren? But, Jiren, wait, not all is as it may, huh?" But instantly, the hand that was once reaching out to pull Belmont up switches to a flat palm that faces a frightened to death Belmont, as Jiren then suddenly lets out, "Hakai!" roaring the deadly words at the top of his lungs with so much conviction it would not have been inconceivable for him to have been trying to erase the universe itself. "Jiren, I'm sore!" As not even being able to utter his final sentence in the living world, Belmont, former god of destruction of Universe 11, is erased to complete nothingness by Jiren the Grey. "What? Jiren, what are you doing?" Leaving ironically Ultra Vegito completely bamboozled by the turn of events, witnessing firsthand now what he had done so many times up till now. As finally, Jiren reveals with closed eyes, "Belmont, you finally got what was coming to you. How I never suspected you as being the one who slaughtered my clan is something I will never forgive myself for. But I have finally avenged you, my brothers. I have avenged you, warriors. And I have avenged you, master." So our story continues with Jiren standing stone-faced, staring forward after his shock murder of his own former friend and god, Belmont, while in the background, Ultra Vegito still remains in utter disbelief. "Jiren! What have you done? What the hell is wrong with you? I'm guessing you saw what he did to my planet, but damn it! Belmont was my kill! Could have at least given me a heads up. Huh? Wait a second. But as Ultra Vegito scolds Jiren, suddenly he is forced to turn his head in panic as an ominous power level begins to rise out of nowhere. And in the distance, thunder and lightning begins to spark through the air as a tall and large silhouette stands at the very epicenter. But who could it be? Jiren! You damn traitor! You will face justice for your actions! As shockingly, it is revealed to be Toppo, now in his full-powered Hekaishin form. And after 4 years of training in the Pyramid of Power, even the planet itself begins to quake in fear from his strength. As he stands confidently with his fists clenched, Toppo comments one final time. Son Goku, you have poisoned even the mind of my greatest friend. But nothing will excuse the crime of murdering our former god and pride trooper Belmont. New god of destruction or not, Jiren, as weakened as you are, your death will now be by my hand. Jiren! As suddenly, like a cannonball, Hekaishin Toppo rushes in at Jiren with all his might. His conviction secured at what he must do for the sake of Universe 11, even if against his old friend. But as Toppo reaches within touching distance, curiously, a seemingly still deep in thought Jiren just remains still, almost as if he too realizes he must face justice for what he has just done. Jiren, move! But suddenly, an alarmed Ultra Vegito, watching all of this drama play out, is quick to get into action and jumps into a fighting stance as he thinks, I forgot about that damn beast man! This is bad. Jiren is still pretty banged up after what I did to him. I'm gonna need to step in. But instantaneously, before Vegito can even move an inch further, a massive explosion is seen at, curiously, exactly the spot where Toppo and Jiren were. And as the dust settles, it is shockingly revealed to be from the impact of Jiren's giant apparition, which somehow has returned to the battlefield in an instant, even with Jiren's current state. And at the base of the giant fist that is cemented into the ground is a cracked surface where someone has been completely flattened. And as the humongous hand then slowly moves away, crumbling rocks from its knuckles as it moves, Toppo, Pride Trooper of Universe 11, is shown to be the victim. Imprinted onto the planet's surface, damaged to heck, with not even both his eyes being functional, as he mutters, Jiren, I can't move. Why? What? Which Ultra Vegito, having watched this all go down, is left near speechless, as he thinks to himself, no way! Jiren still had that much energy in the tank? Then why did he give up so easily? Was he holding back against me? But Jiren, who couldn't care about neither Vegito's shock nor the pancake Toppo before him, turns back to where the erased remains of Belmont reside and looks down dejected, before uttering out, sorry, Son Goku, but I had to do this. Belmont could only die by my hand after what I witnessed, not only for my sake, but for the sake of my people too. Your people? Hearing this though, the oblivious Vegito, who did not hear anything that was exchanged between Belmont and Jiren earlier, queries on, what do you mean what you witnessed? I don't follow, Jiren. You consider the Earthlings your people? I had no idea you felt so strongly about us, you lovable lug. Or is this just some lame reflection of your own brand of justice. Jiren, though, initially remaining quiet, then finally turns his head to look at the Saiyan and reveal the truth, as he says, "No, that is not what I meant, Son Goku. I did intend to go see what happened in your past. Indeed, I wasn't shown any of what you showed me when the angel entered my mind. But as I thought of your story, as you say, it did remind me of a certain incident in my own past. So, in the end, I opted to travel over 3 decades back to when I was still a child. Back when I had my master and friends in my humble village known as Doro. It was the exact moment they were all slaughtered before my eyes by a beast I never truly uncovered until just now. The monster who killed my master, my friends, my family, was Lord Belmont himself. The same man who found me orphaned and gave me purpose in the Pride Troopers was the same man who orchestrated my entire life until this point. What? Those damn gods! Leaving Vegito now looking on seriously at Jiren with his arms folded and back hunched as he angrily continues, "I should have known. That creepy clown was always bad news. This is exactly why the reign of those so-called gods needs to end, Jiren. From the Supreme Kais to the gods of destruction, this messed up system needs to end. No creature, divine or otherwise, should be deciding who lives and dies at their whim and without explanation or anyone to answer to. You would have never even found out what happened if it wasn't for these rings, an item that is gate-kept by the very gods we need these things to find the truth about." Jiren, hearing this and now done wallowing in the sadness of his actions, then begins to take off the time ring Vegito had given him as promised, saying as he does so, "Son Goku, I understand why you are doing this now. What motivates you and drives you to do the things that no mortal ever would. But this idea to remove all gods, Supreme Kais included, regardless of whether they were involved or not, how are you so sure that is the correct path all universes should follow? Surely there should be some exceptions." But without even a moment's hesitation, with a steadfast conviction, Ultra Vegito responds, "Jiren, listen to me. When I was imprisoned by those gods, for 10 years I suffered. Suffered for something I never even wanted to be involved with in the first place. A battle with a god of destruction who I was powerless to deny. Threatened with destruction if I didn't participate in his game. It reminded me so much of when Beerus first came to Earth. Even then, he threatened the erasure of my home planet unless I could show him a Super Saiyan god. It was only by luck we could produce something for him. But just how many other planets are there that didn't get the same luxury? The role of a destroyer is to erase planets like they were particles of dust needing to be hoovered up. That kind of devaluing of life, Jiren, of mortals, can no longer exist as long as I'm alive." And hearing this surprisingly poignant and deep explanation, Jiren can't help but succumb, drooping his eyes as he begins to emphasize greatly with Vegito's cause, saying back, I see. Though I can't just yet decide whether you are on the right side of justice There's nothing I could say that will sway your decision anyway. And neither can I tell you you are wrong about what you say. But I do have one question for you, Son Goku. Throwing his removed earring at Ultra Vegito, which is swiftly caught with ease. Before staring Vegito right in his eyes and continuing, if I had remained against you as the new god of destruction for this universe, would you really have destroyed me just as you had the others? And for a moment, Ultra Vegito just watches Jiren in silence, giving nothing away with his poker face expression. All the while, slowly placing the time ring back on his hand, as if it had finally returned to its rightful home. Until suddenly, in an unexpected turn of events, Ultra Vegito vanishes without a trace, leaving a confused Jiren to yell out, Son Goku, where did his energy go? What are you doing? As Jiren then notices something out the corner of his eye, right behind him. Something clearly so shocking, it even has the normally stone-cold Jiren alarmed. As when we zoom out, we eventually see is none other than Ultra Vegito once again on the battlefield, but now firmly placing two fingers on the back of Jiren's head as if emulating a gun and ready to blast the new god of destruction's brains out. Meanwhile, Jiren, who almost instinctively begins to hold his hands up in fear and surrender, can't tell himself what the god killer's intentions are, before Vegito lets out coldly, of course I would have, Lord Jiren. And with his fingers still pointed firmly at the former Pride Trooper, Vegito then sternly demands, now that you have your answer, I need you to do something for me in return, Jiren. And I'm sure, after what you just found out, you'll have no problem doing this. Summon your angel attendant, Margarita, at once. And on hearing this, Jiren's fear instantly subsides as he closes his eyes and begins to give the God Killer's request some thought, thinking, the angel. I know what will happen if I summon her. Belmont deserved his death, but does she too? Yes, she does. As with a cold expression, Jiren suddenly makes his mind up and snaps his fingers. And just like that, behind both Jiren and Ultra Vegito, Margarita appears on command, just as an attendant should, with Vegito commenting, well, hello, female Whis. Hope we didn't disturb your little holiday, but the men would like to talk to you now. Huh? Jiren? Leaving Margarita in a state of disbelief, as the first sight she sees on her sudden arrival is shockingly her own god of destruction who was meant to annihilate Vegito, now on the end of what would seem a fatal blast. Margarita now panicking would then yell out, what's going on, Jiren? Why did you bring me here? I thought you would handle this yourself. As Vegito, now pleased with her panicking, explains with a sinister smile. Well, would you look at that? A summoned angel questioning why her god summoned her. My, you would never see Whis asking Beerus. Tch, what a pathetic excuse for an angel you are. But now that Jiren has been defeated, guess he doesn't really need an angel anymore, does he, Margarita? As she hears the Saiyan's last line though, a stroke of fear comes across her face, and she mumbles back, Jiren, you were beaten? So that means... And immediately, with a shrieking scream, rather than battle Vegito head-on fruitlessly, the Angel of Universe 11 makes a run for it, knowing all too well the horrific powers of Ultra Vegito. But almost instantly, as if expecting it himself, from Vegito's left arm, splattering Namekian goo as it flies out, Vegito unleashes his Cell Tail. Immediately wrapping around the Angel's neck perfectly and as tight as an anaconda, slowly squeezing the very air and life force out of Margarita, until finally, the tail, which moves as if it has a mind of its own, then brings its pointed needle end right in front of Margarita's face, which instantly causes her to plead pitifully one more time. No! No! Vegito, please! I don't deserve this! It was all Belmod! It was! But just like that, the tail makes its move, and in a gruesome scene, it strikes face first, but seemingly, from the angle, it doesn't appear to have struck quite in the middle. What have you done to me? As horrifically, we are treated to the sight of Margarita's left eye exploding in her face as the tail punches it without mercy, leading to an ocean of blood spurting forward as she screams. But perhaps in a show of mercy or just extreme power, Margarita's life force and organic matter is almost instantly absorbed into Vegito, leaving only now a lifeless, wrinkled shell, which Vegito without care then tosses into the wind like a loose bin bag, flying in the air like a kite until Vegito yells, "Kai!" screaming with enough intensity as if he was doing this for Belmod too, simultaneously snapping back his tail into his android arm as he does so. And as expected, the Angel Margarita then erases right before the eyes of Vegito, turning to dust before disappearing completely from the universe forevermore, as Jiren prefers to not even dignify her with one final look. But with the Angel now taken care of, God of Destruction Jiren then turns his attention back to Vegito, realizing now that the Angel's energy has been absorbed, now only the God of Destructions remains, as he says, "So, what now? Margarita has been absorbed by that disgusting machination of yours, and from both your visions, it seems you don't stop at just absorbing the Angel's power, but the energy of the Destroyer too. Given I've already erased Belmod, I'm guessing you're not quite satisfied. Am I your next victim, Son Goku?" But in response, Vegito just remains quiet, instead opting to move his hand slowly away from the back of Jiren's head before walking past the surprised god without fear, and with an unreadable smile on his face, as Jiren questions after him, "Son Goku, where are you going? Belmod is no more." But as we zoom out, as the thunder from Toppo's power-up still rages on, it is revealed Ultra Vegito is actually walking towards the former candidate, still paralyzed on the ground from Jiren's earlier attack. And as he finally reaches Toppo, Vegito, still smirking, then lets out, "Yes, Jiren. Well, that would be the case normally. But lucky for you, you aren't the only one left here with destruction energy. In fact, I have a feeling Beastman over here may have had even more in him than you did." As soon, Toppo, who had lost consciousness, regains it on sensing Vegito's movement. He barely opens one eye, looking to the direction of the sound he hears until... reacting in anger and fury still, despite his now powerless states. But Ultra Vegito, who in typical fashion has a sadistic smile watching Toppo writhe in pain, then responds, "Relax, beast man. This will only take a second. Besides, what good is destruction power to someone who couldn't even make it to the title of Destroyer? Weren't you a candidate in line before Jiren? What a disgrace." As immediately following this, Vegito swiftly smacks his palm onto Toppo's face and slams it into the ground as Toppo struggles in pain. Until finally, just as fast as Margarita's energy was sapped away, so too is the energy of Toppo, as he now remains on the ground, near lifeless, but still alive. Vegito, now having gotten everything he needed from this universe, then stands back up, while Toppo remains mute on the ground beneath him, before turning to Jiren and saying, "Jiren, listen carefully now, because I'll only say this once. You remain in this universe as its god of destruction, and though I know you well enough now to trust you won't make the same mistakes as your predecessors, you can't stay here anymore." This sudden statement, though, takes Jiren by surprise, as he looks at Vegito wide-eyed and queries further, "What are you saying? What do you mean I can't stay anymore, Son Goku? This is where I belong. Or is this some way of telling me you must erase me regardless?" But Vegito, who's far from a joking mood, looks on sternly and continues, "Because, Jiren, you too are a god killer now. And Zeno, and the Grand Priest for that matter, will not take that standing down. You know that as well as I. Eventually, they will come, for both me and you. I'm ready, but I'm not sure you are. You need to keep training. I sense within you a great power, a potential that could even surpass mine. And one day, when I finally face those two scumbags in the final battle, I'll need you, friend. You have one of those god summoning buttons, don't you? Hand me yours." Describing, of course, the same unique button Zeno once gave Goku and the god of destruction Sidra had given Bergamo. Jiren, hearing this, then smiles, pleasantly pleased with his old friend's request, as he begins rummaging in his back pocket for said button while saying, "Fighting alongside Son Goku, a god pairing with the renowned god killer. Not exactly what I was expecting from today's outcome, but as they say, stranger things have happened." And so with a smile, this time more genuine than the one he gave Belmod, Jiren walks over to Ultra Vegito saying, "I hope, warrior, I do become of use to you in the way you say. I stand with you, Vegito." Before then handing over the button to Vegito in almost like a handshaking fashion, as Vegito smiles back at his friend and replies, "I already know you won't let me down. Train up good. Now that you're a god of destruction, you should have access to the Pyramid of Power, shouldn't you? An angel known as Miras once showed me. Summon it and spend your days there until you have reached my level. The longest I could withstand is 10 days, but I'll try my hardest for your sake, Son Goku. See you soon." As Jiren then nonchalantly snaps his fingers, and immediately before Vegito and Jiren, the Pyramid of Power erects itself in all its understated glory. Jiren, knowing his mission and having said everything he would ever need to, then walks into the pyramid with just his hand waving goodbye one last time, before the doors of the training facility shut behind him hard, not to be opened again until at least 10 days later, or so Jiren thought. Vegito, now all alone outside the pyramid, has some time to reflect on everything that just went on during his trip to Universe 11. He may not have had the pleasure of killing the God of Destruction, but somehow supposedly gained the future aid of another. A slight darkness then looms over the Saiyan's face as he looks at the ground in great contemplation, still not uttering a word, as if figuring out what his next possible move is, or just battling with some inner morals that will come into play sooner than we think. Vegito stares at the door intensely for a moment, to us viewers though, it's not clear why. But instantly, without a hint of warning, Ultra Vegito blasts out a powerful ki beam. And just like that, it hits directly on the peaceful, unsuspecting pyramid, right on the same doors Vegito stared at, leading to a massive explosion, and unfortunately leaving behind a pile of broken and scorched rubble. And as the dust settles and sways across Ultra Vegito's face, a sinister grin now appears, as Vegito lets out, "Sorry, Jiren, but if I'm ridding every universe of their God of Destruction, then this one will be no exception. Train hard, warrior." Jiren, of course, inside, who was already in the middle of training, suddenly too then notices the massive explosion of the pyramid entrance. The blast being so powerful, it is even visible within the alternate dimension. And yet again, left behind is nothing but rubble and smoke, as the only door out becomes lost forever. "What? Son Goku, what have you done?" As a truly shell-shocked and disbelieving Jiren stands terrified, hoping this is just a dream, as he now, betrayed by the God Killer, must exist in this dimension for seemingly the rest of eternity.
L is for lovers who love one another. A is for ass, of which I like to eat. U is for you're the only one for me. G is for the only gamer I see. H is for happy, I'm always feeling. When you put it together, what do you get?